For most people, money feels simple. You earn it, you save it, you spend it. Banks in this story are just middlemen, places that store money, places that lend money that already exists. But that story is incomplete because modern banks do something far more powerful. They create money, not metaphorically, not indirectly. They create it from nothing. And to understand how that became normal, we need to go back to a time when banks could not do that at all, when banks were just vaults. Hundreds of years ago, banks were not creators of money, they were guardians. People brought gold and silver to be stored safely. Banks issued receipts as proof of ownership. Those receipts could be exchanged back for metal at any time. At this stage, banks had one job: do not lose the gold. Money was real. Banks were passive. The first discovery. Over time, bankers noticed something. Most people did not come back to withdraw their gold. They trusted the receipt, and that observation led to a quiet realization. If everyone does not demand their gold at the same time, some of it just sits there, unused, idle. That idle gold looked like opportunity, lending what was not asked for. So banks tried something new. They began lending out a portion of the gold while still issuing receipts for all of it. On paper, everyone still believed their gold was safely stored. In reality, the same gold was now promised to multiple people. Nothing broke at first. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking. Banks had discovered leverage, money multiples without metal. Here is the key shift. Banks did not need more gold to issue more claims. They only needed confidence that withdrawals would remain limited. Money supply expanded without new metal being mined. This was not illegal, it was not hidden, it was simply misunderstood, and it worked until it didn't. When trust fails, every time panic spread, people rushed to withdraw their gold. Banks could not meet demand. Bank runs followed. Entire institutions collapsed because promises exceeded reality. The lesson banks learned was not stop creating money, it was control panic. Central banks enter the story. To stabilize the system, central banks were created. Their job was simple. If banks ran out of cash, the central bank would provide it as lender of last resort. This removed the final constraint. Banks no longer feared running out of money. Someone would always back them. The transformation of banking. With central banks behind them, commercial banks evolved. They no longer needed gold deposits to expand lending. They needed borrowers. Loans became the source of money, not savings. This is the moment most people miss. When a bank issues a loan, it does not give you existing money. It creates new money by typing numbers into an account. That money did not exist before the loan. How modern money is created. The process is simple. A loan is approved, a deposit appears. No vault is opened, no cash is moved. The bank's balance sheet expands. Money is created as debt. When the loan is repaid, that money disappears. Creation and destruction happen through lending. Why this does not feel real? Because the system feels stable. You swipe a card, the payment clears. Money behaves like a physical thing, but it isn't. It is a network of promises maintained by confidence. Why banks control the supply? Governments do not directly create most of the money in circulation. Banks do. Central banks influence conditions, interest rates, liquidity, but private banks decide who gets new money by choosing who receives loans. This is power, quiet power. Incentives shape reality. Banks earn interest on created money. That creates incentive. More lending, more growth, more risk. Not because banks are evil, because the system rewards expansion. The role of crises. Every financial crisis reveals the same truth. When panic breaks, money creation freezes, credit stops, markets panic, and central banks step in to replace private creation with public money, stabilizing the system without changing it. Why this system survived? Because it is efficient. It fuels growth, it enables scale, but it also concentrates power near money creation. Those closest benefit first, those furthest feel inflation later. Money from nothing is not magic. It is accounting, legal, structured, institutionalized, and deeply misunderstood. Banks did not steal this power. It evolved, gradually, quietly. The final reality. Money today is not a thing, it is a relationship between banks and borrowers, between trust and debt. Banks learned to create money from nothing because society allowed confidence to replace constraint. And once that door opened, there was no going back. Understanding this does not require fear, it requires clarity, because the system only feels invisible until you learn how it works. And once you do, you start seeing money everywhere, not as cash, but as promises. If this explanation helped you understand how modern banking actually works, like the video and subscribe to the channel. More finance and economic history documentaries coming next.